Namaskar, and a very warm welcome to all our dedicated aspirants. You're tuning in to another critical explainer from Rungta IAS Academy. Today, we're unpacking a highly relevant General Studies Paper 3 topic, the recent fuel price hikes and the deepening crisis facing our oil marketing companies, OMCs.
Absolutely. It's great to be here with you all. And the economy syllabus doesn't just ask you for static textbook concepts, right? It demands real-time application. So today we're going to act as your guides, breaking down exactly how a massive global crisis translates into domestic inflation and real-world policy dilemmas.
Okay, let's quickly look at our agenda. We're covering 1. The OMC crisis context, 2. The mathematics of fuel hikes, 3. The macroeconomic ripples for GS3, and 4. Your mains and interview application.
Right, let's jump straight into Section 1, the OMC crisis context.
To really understand these fuel hikes, we first have to recognize the immense pressure that's been building up in the background. And the trigger here, it's distinctly international. As Union Petroleum Minister Hardeep Puri recently pointed out, our OMCs have been desperately trying to hold retail fuel prices steady. Why? Because global oil prices are absolutely surging on the back of the severe West Asia crisis. They've been shielding the common man, sure, but at a massive cost. And experts are noting there's a clear scope for further price increases.
Exactly. Just look at the global markets. Amid all these escalating geopolitical tensions, Brent crude futures actually scaled a 4-year high of $126.41 per barrel back on April 30th. And even though it settled slightly, trading around $108.2 a barrel by Friday evening, this kind of extreme volatility creates an absolute nightmare scenario for India's domestic import bills.
And what's the exact cost of that nightmare? Try 1,000 crore rupees per day. Minister Puri actually confirmed that OMCs were losing this staggering amount daily through the combined sales of petrol, diesel, and LPG. They are actively absorbing the global shock to protect domestic consumers. But mathematically speaking, that dam can only hold back the water for so long.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 2, the mathematics of fuel hikes. Let's actually decode the recent 3 rupees per liter hike and see if it fixes this massive deficit. Based on provisional government data for April, India consumed a massive 497 crore liters of petrol. That is a 6.36% year-on-year growth. Meanwhile, diesel consumption stood at 986 crore liters, which was almost entirely flat, rising just 0.25%. So the demand for petrol is clearly surging right now.
Now, if we apply that 3 rupees per litre hike to those exact consumption figures, the OMCs earn an additional 1,491 crore rupees from petrol and 2,958 crore rupees from diesel. That totals an extra 4,449 crore rupees per month. Wait, just let that sink in for a second. 4,449 crore rupees per month in extra revenue, stacked up against a loss of 1,000 crore rupees per day. It's literally a drop in the ocean.
Moving on to Section 3, GS3, macroeconomic ripples. For your General Studies Paper 3 aspirants, you can't just state the math. You have to analyze the macroeconomic ripples and the government's subsequent policy constraints. The government essentially has 2 choices here to save the OMCs. Option 1, a full government bailout. But, as the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas has confirmed on multiple occasions, there is absolutely no proposal under consideration to bail out OMCs during this crisis. So that leaves option 2, continuous price hikes. It's really the only viable option left on the table.
But here's the catch. They can't just hike it all at once. Saurav Mitra, a partner for oil and gas at Grant Thornton Bharat, notes that while there's clear headroom for further calibrated price hikes, these adjustments have to be, and I quote, phased and policy sensitive. Why? Because a sudden, massive hike would trigger runaway domestic inflation. The government is walking a very, very tightrope here, carefully balancing this inflationary risk against the financial survival of our OMCs.
Okay, let's wrap up with Section 4, mains and interview application.
Let's synthesize all this raw data directly into high-scoring points for your exams. Aspirants, here are your 3 high-yield mains takeaways. First, use this specific data to illustrate the direct impact of a geopolitical crisis, like the one in West Asia, on India's domestic energy security. Second, highlight the severe financial health constraints of our OMCs. Remember that 1,000 crore rupees a day figure? And third, argue for the necessity of calibrated fuel pricing to prevent sudden inflationary shocks. Trust me, if you use these specific terms and data points, your GS3 answers are going to instantly stand out.
Finally, let's put you in the hot seat. Imagine you're sitting in front of the UPSC interview board, and they ask you, how should India balance energy security with domestic inflation during geopolitical crises? Well, now you've got the analytical ammunition to answer that confidently. You can discuss the actual math of the OMC deficit, the harsh reality of phased pricing, and the government's stance against a direct bailout. As you prepare tonight, I want you to formulate your own 60-second verbal answer to this exact question. Until next time, keep analyzing, keep connecting the dots, and best of luck with your preparation.